All right, this is Derek Hall with FitnessVolt.com. Today I'm being joined by who is potentially the strongest powerlifting talent that we have seen to date. He is a multiple all-time world record holder, the one and only Daniel Bell. Daniel, how are you doing today?
Froze up a minute.
All right, how are you doing, Daniel?
Yeah, good. How you doing?
Not too bad, not too bad at all. Thanks so much for taking the time out to speak with us. Now, you've been doing some pretty impressive things as of late. Now, I know you had started your powerlifting career actually kind of by accident, right? You were going to the gym looking to lose weight, and you almost got challenged to try powerlifting, and you gave it a try. How did you feel after you completed that first meet? Did it feel like you had kind of found where you belonged?
Well, I knew it was a good niche to fall into just because everybody was so nice and everybody was so welcoming. But after my first meet, that was like definitely the feeling where I felt like this is where I need to be. These are the people I need to surround my life with. Progression, and that kind of like it was a big thing for my entire life, all sides of it, including powerlifting, where I got to climb to the top of the ladder. It's been 6 years, but it's just been such an adventure since, and it's on all aspects of my life have progressed so much. It's just, yeah, it was a perfect move for me to choose powerlifting as a passion, and it's been a great ride.
No, I mean, outside of just being passionate about it and enjoying the culture, you're also extremely skilled. Right off the bat, you're putting up incredible numbers. Did you have some sort of like epiphany moment where you realized like this is something I could be excellent at?
Yeah, well, it was like really right around my first 2,200 pound total. It was October 2014 or 2015, I believe. And I went and did a meet out in Columbus, Ohio, and that was when I was at the top of the 308 weight class at that time. Because when I started powerlifting, I was about 285, and my body weight's just gone up since, which I kind of projected. I helped that happen. Like I knew for me to get stronger, me to be at the top, I'd have to get a little bit larger frame on me, but. Yeah, it was right around the first 2,200 pound total when I was like, oh, man, it like clicked in my head. Like, I got a good chance of being the best in the world, not just the 308 weight class, but the super heavyweight weight class. And it was just one of those things that made me that much hungrier too. I did enjoy that aspect, but it also made me train a lot smarter in the long run, which was obviously good. I've only had a handful of injuries, and they've all been small, so it's been kind of nice.
And it does sound lucky. Was the idea of putting weight back on something that was hard to come to terms with since you had originally started off on a weight loss journey and then you kind of took steps backwards?
Yeah, definitely. When I was, it was like 2013 was when I like made the big plunge to drop down to. I wanted to get to 240, and I've always idolized Arnold, and he was 6'1", 255, like in his prime. So it was a good push there, and I got there, and like I remember when I made the transition from 308 to super heavyweight. One weekend I cut like 30 pounds to do a meet at 308, and I only hit my openers. And then the very next week I didn't cut and hit a 2303, and I had super heavyweight. That was like one of my first or second meets at super heavyweight, and then right then I was like, I am never cutting weight for a meet again. Like the only thing that matters is my total. I don't even. And I never even really cared much about Wilks. Like that wasn't my goal. In my eyes, powerlifting's the most weight on the bar wins. But I know there's a lot of different views on it. But I've always stuck by that. And so far it's done me pretty good. I'd like to say.
Yeah, well, you're definitely not wrong. So obviously you put a lot of time in the gym. You're always working. What's your weekly training split look like usually?
Usually I'll go in Mondays, and let's see, we train on Sundays now. I used to train on Saturdays, but Mondays or Tuesdays usually depends on how sore I am from Sundays. They're usually just back and biceps, blood flow, bodybuilding movements, low weight, high reps, and just get the body feeling good and get me primed up for Thursday. Thursday is when I bench normally, and that's always been my bench day. And 1 week I'll close grip, the next week I'll comp grip, and if I gotta put a shirt on or something like that, or depending on how far out I am, I like to do all my accessories are mostly bodybuilding. Also, 10 sets, 15 reps, somewhere around there. But then Sundays come around, and that's usually for me. I found out what works really best for me is if I squat 1 week and deadlift the next week. Just keep a 14-day on that to where I feel like I can fully recover, expect days to recover just by the weight that I'm actually moving, whether it be 1,000-pound squat or 850-pound deadlift. I know it's going to take a good toll on me, and I think that factoring in those recoveries, that long period of time, has really helped me progress and stay kind of on top and healthy at the same time. I talked to plenty of my training partners, and we don't know if it's just because I'm lazy or just because I'm that smart. And I'll never admit to being that smart. So,
I appreciate the humble approach. How often do you train heavy? Is it just all the time thing since you're not going too often, or?
No, like when I'm in the off season, I usually try to stay under 70% just to give my body a little bit of break. But normally, like if I squat heavy, I'll squat heavy 1 week, deadlift heavy the next week, and then just keep it in a rotation. I really don't, like when I'm peaking, I don't really usually hit too much lighter numbers unless I feel like I need to, get the movement or hone down my movement a little bit more. But other than that, no, I usually try to stay a little bit heavier, like in the 70-80% range of my 1MR at the time. So, and when I start my peak, I always progress my, like 9 times out of 10, I like to say, I don't always, but I do like to progress third attempt, calculate numbers off of that. So it's usually not too many light days. That's why I like the big periods.
Gotcha. Now, about how long out from a competition do you really begin to start amping things up? Oh, I lost you there for a second, but I got you back, I think. Did you hear my question? I'm sorry. I think we're going through a little rough patch of signal.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you okay.
It sounds like we're part of a Verizon commercial now.
But I was asking about how far out from a competition do you usually start to amp things up?
Well, like usually, my peaking program is 12 weeks, but and in those first 4 weeks, I usually get my movements down and like kind of critique my form a lot more. So then, like from 8 weeks out, I really don't have much to worry about when it comes to technique and form and stuff like that. So then, really, when it gets thick and when I really got to put my nose to the grindstone, about 8 to 7 weeks out is when I know what numbers I need to start hitting and what numbers I need to project for, and what's going to be there on meet day. Because I mean, if you're powerlifting, you've been on the platform, some days you got it, some days you don't.
Right, for sure. Now, in terms of diet, how many calories do you eat a day, do you think?
Right now I'm pretty strict about 3,200 to 3,500. But that, like, I'm not really in a, I'd say, bulk phase, I guess you could say. I'm kind of just trying to get healthier, which I am 7 weeks out from the showdown meet there in Kansas City, so I know I'm gonna have to pick it up a little bit and probably go closer to 4,000. But now that I've been tracking a lot more and I've been paying attention a little bit more to my diet, just to feel a lot better. It really is. It's in the long run. Like sometimes when my body weight goes up, I'm completely uncomfortable and miserable. But then, like 2-3 months later, my body weight can go back up to that, and I feel great. So just how your body like kind of conforms and how you feel is what I really base my body weight off of. So but yeah, my diet's pretty normal. I'm not a big red meat guy, so I do like chicken, and everybody's like, how can you stand chicken? I was like, it's not bad. I can just put it on the grill, season a little bit, and throw some broccoli and rice with it. I have no problem stuffing that down 5 to 6 times a day.
Is that basically all you eat? Is just chicken with a little bit of greens?
Yeah, for the mostly. I'm pretty big on rice just because I know that the white rice I'm gonna have to. It's easy to digest and it's a good complex carb for my body to use as fuel. So yeah, for the most part, I do. Occasionally, my wife, she's actually Italian, and her mother, they cook like there's no tomorrow. It could be for 3 people. Pretty awesome, but yeah, most of the time she knows what I like, and like so chicken cutlets or chicken parmesan or stuff like that. Like it's been kind of upsetting. I don't have to blame her, but I do.
You gotta love somebody in the family who can constantly keep you fed, right? Now, to be honest with you, Dan, you've got some pretty impressive. You've got some pretty impressive numbers that you've hit over the last few years. Now, I actually had to write them down because there's just so many accolades that you've hit that are just unbelievable. You managed to hit an all-time world record in total for the wraps and for the sleeves. And then you were also the first person to squat 1,000 pounds and deadlift 1,000 pounds in the sleeves. That's some pretty impressive stuff. Not to mention, most recently, you just had your first competition in multiply competition, where you totaled, again, massive numbers of 667 pounds. Unbelievable. What makes you so different from everybody else?
My training environment that I got now, everybody there is like not selfish at all. They're all pushing everyone. And like I said it the other day, I think it was last Sunday when I was squatting, and we were literally, I was sitting in the corner getting ready to get up and squat, and everyone is standing around helping everyone else while they're also training, and I'm just like, no wonder I feel like we have such a great gym. Everybody's helping everyone, and it's been beautiful. Down to Florida, it would be March 2 years ago, or last year, March 2019, and that was really kind of when I took off, actually. And August, I did the Pioneer meet, and I got my feet wet because I was unsure how I was going to bounce back after almost a year off, and I've just been on a great tear ever since that. And that meet, before that meet, I didn't squat more than 915, and it was a walkout meet, so that's like kind of out of my comfort zone too. And I ended up walking out 992 at that meet, so that really pushed me over the edge mentally to where like I was just like, hey, I can do a lot better than this, and I know what my body's capable of now. So it's just like the mental part of it, and then on top of the surrounding that I have, the atmosphere with all the people. We got Daniel Tinajero, he's been in powerlifting for almost 15 years. There's also a bunch of older guys, older powerlifters that go to that gym too, and there's some Sundays they'll sit around and bullshit with us and just try to help us out. And you really, it's not real common when you got 30, 40 years of knowledge, plus the chiropractic school that in Daytona, there's like plenty of those guys coming all over the place. One of my two main training partners, Seth and Miena Albersworth, they're from Canada, and Seth's been powerlifting for almost 10 years or longer than that, and just his knowledge, and on top that he's a chiropractor, to keep my body healthy, like it's helped tremendously over this last year almost. And I just been a real good tear for me. Just I went to that Pioneer meet, total 2291, and then right after, like I said, I just had that mental confidence to where I knew I could touch 2,500 if I planned everything right. And then in November I did, and then February I was actually supposed to qualify for the showdown meet because I hadn't done a sleeve meet since 2017, so I was trying to qualify to get in the showdown. And I signed up for a local meet, and that day, and I opened at 9:15. I was just gonna stop there, but I was like, it felt like an empty bar. So I was like, hey, let's roll with it. And I ended up. That's where I was the first guy to squat 1,000 pounds and pull 900 in sleeves. I was actually the second guy to do it in wraps. But I mean, still just like a good mental feat. Like I wanted to be the first to do it anyways, but Dylan Hellriegel, he's from Australia. He's super young, and he's just like got a good career path ahead of him if he can stay healthy. And that's the thing that a lot of powerlifters are having a problem with now is just staying healthy and moving forward. But I've just been lucky enough to where the surrounding with people that I've had, I've just kind of taken off. And getting into the multiply was kind of something I, had in the back of my head for a long while, but I didn't know if it was going to happen or when it was going to happen. But all my training partners, they're all multiply lifters, so it was just like super easy. I mean, they let me jump in, head first, and I appreciate that they let me do that, but they also kept me safe. And I really feel like there's a good carryover from that too, because a lot of the multiply lifting, you got to critique your form and everything like that differently. For the squat and the bench was such a pain in the butt, but it ended up, I benched 683 in a single ply shirt, and I was like, that's enough. I don't need to bench anymore. It's just a pain to get down, and I know if I do want to take off in the multiply powerlifting realm and try to get to the top there, it's going to take a lot longer time, and I haven't really been able to devote that much time to it. But it's still just the learning experience. I consider it as just like sharpening my blade, in my toolbox of powerlifting things that I can do. It's just real fun. I kept it fun, and you have to keep it fun, because if it's not fun, what's the point? I kind of look at it that way, and I think going into anything with that kind of mindset, it's gonna help you progress a lot farther, and you don't have to make it hard. It's still a hobby.
No, that definitely makes sense. Now, were you always pretty strong naturally, or because obviously you have to have had some sort of, something that made you, like I said, made you different than everybody else. Like not everybody's coming into powerlifting and immediately becoming one of the best in the country. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I did definitely. All through high school, I had like multiple high school football coaches tell me like, you're the strongest kid on the field, whether you know it or not. And I really wasn't training. I was training towards football. Like we would do, snatch and stuff like that. We didn't really deadlift. Actually, my very first powerlifting meet, I bombed out of it because I had no idea how to deadlift. Now, this was when I was 18 years old, and it was just like a locally ran meet. But I didn't have any idea how to deadlift, so I actually bombed the meet because of that. And then fast forward 9 years, and that was when I really did my first sanction meet. I mean, I think my best deadlift to that one was 750 or somewhere around there. And so it was, it's been with me for a long while, especially in high school. But I've also been really athletic most of my life too. Like my parents never really pushed me to do any sports, but they always pushed me not to quit if I did try a sport. And I mean, elementary school, soccer, I was getting in any sport I could just to get out and get with my friends. And grew up in a small town, so it was either get in trouble or play sports. And I just decided to play sports, so it really worked out for me. And then through high school, I was always really athletic. I played basketball a little bit in the early years, but I always played football. We didn't really offer wrestling, but at the time I was also snowboarding too. I grew up in central Illinois, and if you go northern Illinois, there's quite a few hills and snowboarding ski resorts and stuff like that, so we'd always do that as a weekend trip or a church trip or something like that. So it was always getting thrown around like, hey, you want to go on the ski trip? And I was like, yeah, I'd love to. But that followed me through into my late 20s too. I still snowboarded. I think last time I snowboarded was like 2 years ago, but it's a little bit different now. 400 pounds on a snowboard compared to about 250, 300 pounds. So yeah, it's
sure.
Yeah, a little different now. My dad, he was on the verge of diabetes when he was like in his mid-40s, and he started roller skating a lot, and he felt that helped him. Maybe he did. He lost like 60 pounds right off the bat. But then when he started roller skating a lot, he started playing men's adult ice hockey. So I jumped right in with him on that too, and it was good. We got to bond a lot more. It helped our relationship a ton. But we played ice hockey from when I was about 11 until I still got my skates, but I haven't played in a couple years because, like I said, it's a little different now. Yeah, the body weight and the muscle that I have. I'm not going to say my mobility is the best, but it's just a little bit more hingier, and I kind of a little bit more top heavy than I ever have been, just because my muscle is taking over. But it's still fun, and the athleticism is carried over into powerlifting that I brought out of all those sports too. So I I really think it did help a lot. You know, now that I'm at the top of powerlifting, I've dedicated a lot of my life to powerlifting, which it's been good, but it's also been bad. I'm not gonna lie there, but yeah, I'm really happy with, you know, everything that I've carried over, and I really do think that me being that strong at the earlier age and that athletic at the earlier age helped me a ton with later in life now. And like, sure, I'll still do some box jumps or stuff like that out of the ordinary, but I know that I need to keep powerlifting as a pretty big priority. So it's always been, I've always been kind of strong, but I never really, you know, went into the aspect of, oh, you're the strongest guy in the room. It's just, you don't get very far with that kind of attitude.
Right. For sure. Well, what would you say has been your biggest challenge so far? I know you mentioned that it hasn't always been sunshine and roses as you've followed powerlifting. What would you say has been your biggest challenge?
So far, between powerlifting, it just, the biggest challenge for me is like staying hungry, you know, and especially when I was living in Sun, I didn't have the best, I didn't say the best, but I had a great training partner, but it was only one guy. And now that I'm down there in Florida and there's just a gym full of people that are hungry, I think that has had to help me. And then of course, I mean, I struggled with my bench press for the first 5 years of powerlifting. I was stuck at 500 for almost 3 years, just 496, but I couldn't press 500. Of course, that was a pretty big challenge for me. But yeah, just staying motivated to keep doing it. And you know, everybody's got their down days, and not every day is a great day when you're training and stuff like that too. But if you just keep moving forward, I really feel like that mindset and that taking it into any endeavor will help a ton. And that's what I've always tried to look at. It's just keep moving forward. Just got to keep going. You know, today might not be the best day, but you got to go to the next one. Like the next one's coming up, and life will pass you up before you know it. So it's just kind of the way I look at it. It's been tough, but it's also been pretty rewarding now. You know, I'm at the top. It's like, man, it feels great, but I also stay hungry, and that's what I'm doing. That's what my plans are for until the end of this year. I'd really like to, you know, set my numbers a little bit higher and then kind of relax a little.
So what do you do to motivate yourself when you are feeling down? How do you keep yourself motivated?
Most of the time I'll just watch my old YouTube videos or watch YouTube videos of like Eric and Andre, like, you know, because there's always somebody stronger. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about powerlifting. There's always somebody to look up to. There's always the next number to chase. And right now, for me, like I said, just feeling a little bit more comfortable with my numbers. I mean, 2518 and 2485, they're good numbers, but I really feel like I got a little bit higher potential than that, because even like my sleeve world record total, it was a perfect day for me, but everything was clicking right, and I feel like I really could get 2500, and that's what I want. Just because I think, you know, there's plenty of competitors out there that can touch that on a good day if they really want to. Especially in the sleeves class, you know, you got Kelly, Brandon. I mean, he's not lifting too much now in Canada, but Kelly, Ray, you know, if Blaine wanted to come out of single plier and come grab the world record, he could too. There's plenty of guys that are still lifting in sleeves that are capable of 25 or 2400, 2450, somewhere around there on a good day. But I want to push it to 25. So if I just keep that mindset, I feel like that helps me push along a lot more, and especially with the rap total too being 25, 18. Yeah, I didn't mean to, you know, but I did, and I was time 600, somewhere around there. I think then I'd be a little bit more comfortable, because there's the guys that are going to come out and just grab that world record from me. So that's definitely keeps me motivated, keeps me pushing. And then yeah, just reflect on what you already came from. You know, one step backwards not gonna hurt the 50 you've already taken forward. So I just keep myself, you know, kind of humbled and kind of hungry, and that really usually pushes me through to the next training cycle.
What short-term goals are you working on right now?
Well, right now I'm 7 weeks out from that showdown meet, and that one's in sleeves, and that's the one I want to hit 2,500 at, and then have a short little turnaround. 8 weeks after that, I'm doing another meet in November, and I really would try to get 2550, 2600, somewhere around there. I think those are both attainable, and that's like my short-term goal. And then I know like my plan is take all of December off and most of January, and then hop in, multiply again, and actually put my nose to the grindstone with that. Give that some time, work with that, and try to critique everything and get everything working again. So I know how to do it, and then if I can, I know it's going to take time. That's the only thing that stinks about that. It's going to take me some time to get in and get used to that gear. But it's something I look forward. Daily thought process keep me hungry to try and move forward. Hopefully, like November that meet in 7 weeks come around and I could have a bad day and none of it happened. And who knows? I could get mad and still stay raw, but I'd really like to get multiply just because there's a couple more. It's a different challenge too, and it's not going to get me any weaker, like a lot of people say, like the internet says.
You mentioned a few different names a minute ago of people who you feel like are just right behind you in terms of being able to reach some big totals. Who would you feel is your biggest rival? I know you're a real competitive guy.
Well, I mean, that's another beautiful thing about powerlifting. You can say rival, but none of us are really, against each other. We're against the number. I do feel like Dylan Hellriegel, Graham Hicks, they're knocking on the door for 2,500. They could take that total from me any day. If Healthful really put his mind to it, which I know he's doing the whole boxing thing now, but if he really wanted to, he could come up and touch me. Not 100% sure what Andre's doing, but he's always a threat. I know he's been losing some weight trying to get healthier, but he's a threat. And as most of you guys see, Eric, he's starting to put some weight back on his shoulders. So he's I don't want to say Eric's a threat because he's a good friend, and all those guys have been nothing but nice to me. So it's not so much like that, but I just know that any of those guys have a perfect day. They can take what's mine.
Well, I appreciate your competitive spirit, yet respect. Now, you've dipped your toes in a ton of different water. A lot of powerlifters tend to focus on one or two different types of competition, but you've done raw, sleeve, wraps, whatever. I know you have a deep love for raw, but what would you say is your favorite style of lifting?
Oh, definitely wraps. Definitely raw with wraps. It's really, really my favorite. I feel like I can use the equipment very well, and I've just honed it because that was like my main objective. I did kind of pigeonhole myself on just doing raw with wraps for years, and even the world record in sleeves, that was like my 4th or 5th meet in sleeves. I've always been kind of open because I don't feel like squat and sleeves, it's going to have good carryover to squat and wraps if you know how to use the wraps correctly. But yeah, raw with wraps will always be my home, you could say. I've done it for so long, and like I said earlier, with doing the multiply stuff, it's fun and it's exciting, but it's also another beast. There's so many more angles of failure. So I feel like if I had to choose a comfort zone, it'd definitely be raw with wraps.
All right, well, I'll get you out of here on this, and I really do appreciate your time. What's your one message to all of your fans around the world who are excited to see you compete in a couple of weeks?
I appreciate it. Thank you. And I hope you guys do keep doing stuff like this, interesting stuff, and putting out good content. It's really nice to see, and it's good to help. I appreciate what you guys do too.
Thanks. Do you have a message for your fans before we get you out of here? Oh, did I lose you?
Put the passion behind the sport for me. I appreciate everybody.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Daniel. We look forward to seeing you compete in a few weeks.
All right. have a great day.
Yeah, you as well. Thanks.